Hi, I'm Justin Riley. Today on Wisconsin Doctors, eating seasonally and eating locally. We're on location at Upland Hills Health to find out exactly how easy this really is to do, to take care of yourself during the summer in terms of nutrition. And I'm joined by a fabulous team of registered dietitian nutritionists, including Susan Ports, Jamie Jordan, who is also the Diabetes Program Coordinator, and Laura Isaacson, the Director of Nutrition and Culinary Services. It's all coming up right here on Wisconsin Doctors. Stay right here. Welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We are here at Upland Hills Health learning more about nutrition and, more importantly, summer nutrition. And I'm joined by a great panel of folks here. Starting over here on the left, we have actually three dietitian nutritionists. We have Jamie Jordan, followed by Susan Ports and Laura Isaacson. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So good to have you with us. So Laura, I'm going to start with you. We're going to talk a little bit about eating seasonally because people's diet changes as the seasons change. So what are the benefits of eating seasonally?
When you eat foods that are in season, those foods have been picked at the peak of their ripeness.
Sure.
And so when they are picked and right when they're ripe, they have the most nutrients. So
really?
They have the highest levels of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. When you're eating foods that aren't in season, they were often picked from a long ways away, maybe in California, before they're ripe and then shipped here.
Yeah.
So they're not very fresh. So they don't last as long. Also, when you eat foods that are in season, you're supporting your local farmers, and you have more of a connection to the food that you're eating.
Absolutely, and I've learned about that recently, that if you allow a peach, for example, to ripen on the vine, it actually does have better flavor and better nutrition that way, rather than picking it raw, letting it sit on the shelf for a couple weeks.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jamie, I'm going to go over to you real quick here. What are some ways that people, you're obviously the diabetes coordinator here, diabetes education coordinator, what are some ways that people with diabetes can incorporate eating seasonally into their diet?
Sure. Well, when people have diabetes, we usually recommend a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. They're pretty low calorie. They do have some carbohydrates, so you have to watch out for portion sizes.
Right.
But they're loaded with vitamins and minerals and fiber. And actually, a lot of the fresh fruits and vegetables can help people with diabetes stay hydrated. If people get dehydrated, it can actually make their blood sugar go higher. So.
Right. Drinking lots of water at this time of year, especially.
That too.
Yeah. Laura, what tips can you give people who are trying to eat seasonally? What can people be looking for?
Well, when you're planning your menus, think about what's in season and prepare foods that incorporate those ingredients. Rather than thinking, this is what I'm going to make tonight, I'm going to go find those ingredients, find your ingredients first.
Sure.
And then make things that use those. When you're shopping, shop at your local farmer's market. You can join a community-supported agriculture in your local community. And also there's a great resource from REAP called the Farm Fresh Atlas that has a list of all of the local Wisconsin farms and CSAs that you can purchase local foods from.
Absolutely. So there's some great resources for people who are trying to eat locally and seasonally as
Yes.
well. So I think there's a perception with some folks that if I buy organic foods, if I'm buying these local foods and rather than the stuff that's at the big box grocery store and whatnot, that I'm going to be paying more for it than I would if I just bought it at the grocery store. What can you say to that? I mean, are there any tips that you can give people who are trying to eat healthy but eat on a budget as well?
I would say that buying in season is going to be less expensive. A lot of times in the winter you'll see like citrus fruits like grapefruit, oranges are all on sale because they're more in season, so there's a larger quantity, which is kind of what's going on right now in Wisconsin. We have a larger quantity of fresh produce, so it's a lot cheaper than it normally would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Susan, I thought that Laura was going to answer
That's
that
all right.
question. My bad there. So, Laura, I am going to jump back to you for this question. We
Okay.
just have a few seconds left. We talked about eating seasonally, and now, can you expand on the benefits of really eating locally? You talked about going to local farmers markets
Yep.
and things like that. Talk to us about that.
Well, first of all, you're supporting your local farmer. So you're supporting your local economy. When you buy things from a local farmer, the money stays in your community 3 times longer than if you were to buy from somebody who isn't local. So it really is supporting your local economy. Also, it's good for the environment. There's less travel time. So when you're buying something from Mexico or California, that is traveling all the way here, and you think about all the gas,
Right.
and so you're really reducing your carbon footprint by buying things right here from a local farmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Reducing that carbon footprint is so important, and it makes you feel good to do that.
Yes.
So we got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about eating locally and eating seasonally, tips for healthy eating in general here at Upland Hills Health and Wisconsin Doctors. Don't go away. Welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We are here at Upland Hills Health learning about healthy eating. What a great topic and a timely topic, because as the seasons change, our diets change. And I'm joined now by a fabulous group of registered dietitian nutritionists here at Upland Hills Health. And I want to start with Laura Isaacson, because you are the Director of Nutrition and Culinary Services. What are some things that Upland Hills is doing right now to produce or to purchase local foods?
We try to purchase as much local food as possible. And in Wisconsin, there's an abundance of farms that we can be purchasing from. So one thing we do is we purchase from a food broker out of Viroqua, Wisconsin, called Fifth Season Cooperative.
All right.
Through Fifth Season, we are able to get over 130 local products. So we buy things like meat, dairy, jam, honey, maple syrup, pasta, fruits, vegetables, the list goes on and on.
Wow.
Even our coffee is locally roasted and organic and fair trade. So if it's available, we try to buy it locally. Another thing that we are doing is we are buying our seafood from an Alaskan fisherman. So his business is out of Dane County. So it's a local Wisconsin business with Wisconsin employees, but he fishes in Alaska, and all of his fishing is fully sustainable and environmentally friendly. And it's very fresh, and so we buy our salmon, halibut, and cod from a local business. Even though the fish comes from Alaska, the business is local.
The business is based here.
Yes.
So you mentioned we're in Wisconsin. Obviously, we are surrounded by a lot of farms. There's plenty of local food around here. However, it is still Wisconsin. There is still that long winter,
Right.
and so there may be times of the year where some of the things that we take for granted during the summer are just not available here locally. So what do you guys do to purchase food locally in the wintertime?
Well, our vegetables, we are able to purchase frozen organic vegetables.
Okay.
So in the wintertime, we are still serving locally grown vegetables, but they are just frozen.
Oh, okay.
So they pick them in the summer, and then
Sure.
we have them all year. So that's one thing that we do. Another thing that people can do at home is they can can. So when you have a garden and you have an abundance of vegetables, you can can, and then you can
Sure.
eat that all year round. There's other things that don't have a season, like honey. That's available all year round.
All right.
So we do buy local Wisconsin honey, and that's available all the time.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to throw you a curveball here.
Okay.
Which is better? Is it better to eat locally grown vegetables that have been frozen and stored for a period of time, or vegetables that have not been frozen but are purchased from a place that's not local?
It would be much better to eat locally grown vegetables that are frozen. They pick them right when they are ripe and freeze them immediately, so
Sure.
it still retains all of the good nutrients.
Absolutely.
So freezing is completely fine and still very nutritious.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Jamie, I'm going to jump over to you here real quick. Obviously, summer is the time when most people are taking vacations. What are some tips for people with diabetes to stay on track when eating on the road or eating on vacation? It's so easy to fall off the wagon when you're saying, well, I'm on vacation, I'm off my regular routine.
Yep.
What sorts of tips can you offer people with diabetes?
Sure. Well, yeah, you get thrown off your routine. So one of the things we always say with diabetes is eat regular meals and snacks during the day. So, if you're going to be driving, you're in an airport, if you can pre-plan some meals or snacks, use little Ziploc bags to portion things out, because
Sure.
you can be bored sitting there and then, eat too much anyways. So
Right.
Or if you go out to a restaurant, because that's going to happen, save half of your meal for later, or choose like a salad or even, like a side entree, because they're usually a lot smaller and it'll save a lot of calories and carbohydrates. So,
making sure that you spread out your calorie intake over the course of a day and not concentrating it all to one time during the day.
Yep.
So, what are some other tips that you can give for folks who have diabetes for the summer months?
Sure. Well, one of the things we caution with is if people are taking their medications or insulin with them, make sure that it's kept, cool, not in the hot weather, because that can affect the medications.
Sure.
Stay hydrated, because being dehydrated can make blood sugars go higher. Take extra medications and test strips with, because the chance of needing them is going to happen. So just make sure you're prepared and have all that with you too.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. We're going to continue talking about good nutrition and good eating in the summertime here at Upland Hills Health and Wisconsin Doctors. Don't go away. Welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. We are at Upland Hills Health learning all kinds of different ways of eating healthy. There are big ways, big lifestyle changes that you can make, and there are small things that you can do little by little that will, in the end, in the long run, have positive effects on your health. And we've got a great team of registered dietitian nutritionists here. And I want to just ask Susan, real quick, what is a CSA? I've heard a lot about CSAs, and I think there are some of our viewers who probably know what those are, but can you talk to our viewers about what CSAs are and things like that?
Sure. So a CSA stands for Community Sustainable Agriculture.
Okay.
And basically how it works is you sign up with a local farmer, and weekly you'll receive a box of produce. Some farmers allow you to choose which kinds of produce you get, but other ones will just give you a box, and it's kind of what's in season that week and what they have an abundance of. So that really gives you an opportunity to try new produce and get everything at the peak of freshness.
And we talked about that earlier in the show, that getting it at the peak of freshness, letting it ripen on the vine, so to speak, is the way that you maximize the micronutrients that you're intaking. So, Jamie, talk to us a little bit about some more of those benefits about joining a CSA.
Sure. I think, like Susan said, just it allows you to try different fruits and vegetables. Sometimes you get things and you're like, oh, I've never tried this before, so I'm going to try this new recipe that has this new ingredient in it. The other thing too is it does stay fresher a lot longer. For instance, I'm part of a CSA here, and we get lettuce, and it can last up to like 2 weeks long. Whereas if you get it at the grocery store, you might have it for a couple days and you got to throw it away because it's not good anymore. So those are really some good benefits.
Yeah, there's less waste involved in that.
Yes.
So, and I think that's so cool, because I think people, by and large, are creatures of habit, and so when they go to the grocery store, they're going to zero in on those things that they're familiar with, versus getting something sent to you and saying, "Hey, you're paying for this. You might as well eat it. You might as well give it a try." I think is a really great thing to try. So, Laura, I'm going to jump over to you for a minute. There's a couple of different resources that people can go to when they're trying to find a CSA that's either near them or that they can, buy into. Can you talk to us about some of those resources?
Well, I would definitely recommend looking at the REAP Food Group website. They put out a Farm Fresh Atlas, and that has information about all of the local farmers and the farmers that participate in CSAs. So that is probably the resource I would recommend. Your local town most likely has a farmer's market, so find out when the farmer's market is and get in the habit of going to that. Some people think that CSAs are kind of expensive because the way it works is you pay for it up front, usually in March. You pay for it up front to give the farmer the money to plant the produce, and then you get it all year round. But there are ways to make it more affordable. Many employers support CSAs. We have an employee CSA here at Upland Hills Health, so ask your employer about it. Check with your insurance company. Many insurance companies will reimburse you the cost of joining a CSA, or at least part of the cost, because it is something that benefits your health. There are worker shares for some CSAs, so with some of them, they will let you sign up for the CSA for a reduced cost if you work on the farm. There's also something called partner shares, where if you show that you are eligible for free and reduced lunch, is kind of, so you need some assistance, oftentimes there are grants available to help you pay for the cost of the CSA. So definitely check out those resources, and that should be able to maybe make it a little bit more affordable for you. One more thing I wanted to mention is if you go to a farmer's market, many of them do accept Quest cards. So if you are getting government assistance, you often can use your Quest cards to pay for the produce you get at a farmer's market.
I think that's fantastic to know, because I think that, unfortunately in our society, the cheapest food is not always the healthiest food, and so people often gravitate towards that if they're on a budget. But I think that knowing that they can get healthy food, with those resources available, I think is really, really good. So, yeah. We got to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk salads right here at Upland Hills Health. It's Wisconsin Doctors. Don't go away. And welcome back to Wisconsin Doctors. I'm joined by our team of registered dietitian nutritionists here at Upland Hills Health. And Susan, I want to ask you about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, salads. So, everybody has their own idea of what's good on a salad, and oftentimes you see men making their own salads, or malads, as I call them. It's something real simple. It's some lettuce and some cheese and some French dressing or something like that. But what are the main components that everybody should be including in a really good salad?
Sure. So the things that I really try to think about is having some sort of a base. So greens, whether it's like a spring mix or romaine lettuce, and then adding some sort of color to it, whether it's with other vegetables like peppers, or adding fruit that can add a different aspect to it, and then something crunchy, which doesn't necessarily have to be croutons or bacon bits. You can try different things like nuts or seeds. And then trying to get some sort of protein in there too is always good. That will help keep you full longer. So eggs, beans, grilled chicken, anything like that would be good. And then lastly, try to get some sort of healthy fat on there. And a lot of times you can kind of incorporate that with a salad dressing.
Absolutely. So we're talking a good portion of greens, fresh greens, followed by some color, something that crunches, protein, and a healthy kind of fat. So there's really kind of 5 components to that, it sounds like. Okay, wonderful. So what are some of the benefits of making your own salad dressing? Can we give some examples of what a good salad dressing is if you make it yourself?
Yeah. So a lot of times the salad dressings that we purchase in the store tend to be high in calories, fat, sugar, salt. So if you make it at home, you can control those things. So there won't be as much of the sugar and salt. So just some examples of what you could do is using like olive oil or canola oil and mixing it with some sort of vinegar or vinaigrette, balsamic vinaigrette. Or you can also use like fruit if you puree it. And it's actually relatively simple and pretty quick.
Yeah,
just mix it together.
And there's some fantastic health benefits, I hear, to extra virgin olive oil. I mean, that's actually a good, healthy kind of fat, is what you had mentioned.
Yes, it is. Heart-healthy fat.
Heart-healthy fat. We like that around here. So do you guys have some ideas for some good salad combinations that you can share with us today?
Sure. Susan mentioned fruits. I love strawberries on a salad, mandarin oranges. Apples, pears, you can throw anything on a salad as far as that goes. Different proteins, you could do shrimp, chicken, different things as far as that goes. Vegetables, red onions, nuts for the crunch, so almonds, walnuts. There's endless possibilities of different things. And sometimes you can just get rid of things in your cupboard and get them on a salad just to use them up too.
Something fresh, I like beets. I like beets on my salad. It adds that nice red component, and they're pretty sweet. They're good. I like that. So obviously, salads are great, and we want to try to eat as much raw food as we possibly can. Studies have shown that raw food intake, tons of health benefits to that, obviously. But, we talked a little bit earlier in the show about, buying local. And even in the wintertime, it's okay to buy locally food that's been frozen or preserved in some way. But I think that there's something missing there, because there's a lost art called canning. that not a lot of people do anymore, but I think it's starting to kind of make a comeback, and there's more and more places where you can learn how to can and preserve your own food. Can you guys talk a little bit about if people wanted to can their own food? Let's say they got something from a local CSA that they weren't able to eat in that week-long period of time or 2-week period of time. How can they preserve some of those foods that they get so that they preserve as much nutritional content as possible?
So canning or freezing can be great
Sure.
options to help keep those good, that you can eat them then in the winter. There are some great websites out there. If you check out the UW Extension website or the National Center for Home Food Preservation website, all of those have great resources on there for giving you just tips and tricks to make sure that you're preserving your food safely.
Absolutely, because there's a little bit of science to it. You need to make sure you're doing it correctly. And you guys are offering a class here
Yes.
very soon, aren't you?
We are. We're going to start offering dietitian and chef cooking classes. We're going to start them monthly. And so in the fall, we will have a class on canning. We haven't set the date yet, but check out the Upland Hills Health website under our events page, and we will have all the dates and information on there. The classes will be open to the community. They'll be about $20 just to pay for the cost of the food, and you'll be able to bring home the food that you prepare in
Sure.
our classes. And so the goal is just to be able to give people some real-life technical skills to be able to cook healthy food, and that's why we've paired up the dietitian with the chef. Yep.
Healthy eating tastes good, and it's not really that hard from what I hear today. So
Yep.
excellent. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been Jamie Jordan, Susan Ports, and Laura Isaacson, registered dietitian nutritionist here at Upland Hills Health. From all of us here at Wisconsin Doctors and Channel 57, we invite you to live longer, live better. We'll see you next time.